Hey friends, welcome back to another video lecturing of Sharon Zoology. So in this session, I'm going to explain about the ovarian follicular development in oogenesis. So oogenesis, the follicular development takes place. First of all, the follicular development in embryonic ovary. So in embryonic stage, we know we have oogonial cells. Oogonium, egg mother cell. We studied about this oogonium. These oogonial cells are found in the ovarian stroma. And in this embryonic stage, these oogonial cells undergo multiplication. Oogonial cells undergo multiplication. This is the multiplication phase in oogenesis. Oogonial cells undergo multiplication by repeated mitosis. So copies of these oogonial cells formed in embryonic ovary. Each of these oogonial cell now undergo growth. Each of these oogonial cell formed undergo growth and form primary oocyte. See here, all the oogonium formed by mitosis undergo growth and form millions of primary oocyte. Millions such primary oocyte formed in embryonic ovary. So now all the oogonium become primary oocyte. As a result, no more oogonia added after birth in female oogenesis, because all the oogonial multiplication completed and all that oogonium become primary oocyte in embryonic stage. So no more oogonia added after birth. All the oogonium become primary oocyte. No precursor for this oogonium in this ovary. See, oogonium undergo growth to form primary oocyte. Millions such type of primary oocyte formed in embryonic ovary. Now this primary oocyte is surrounded by a single layer of cell. A single layer of cells called as stromal cells. That means the cells from this ovarian stroma or ovarian cortex. This primary oocyte is surrounded by a single layer of cell. Each primary oocyte is surrounded by a single layer of cell. So now each primary oocyte is surrounded by a single layer of stromal cells. This stromal cellular layer called as granulosa cells, and these are granulosa layer. The cells are granulosa cell and this layer is granulosa layer. Now this primary oocyte is primary oocyte. This primary oocyte is surrounded by a single layer of granulosa. This primary oocyte along with this granulosa cell called as primary follicle. Called as primary follicles. These are the primary egg follicles. That means million primary egg follicle formed in embryonic ovary. See, oogonium undergo multiplication, millions of oogonium, and each oogonium become primary oocyte, and each that primary oocyte surrounded by a single layer of granulosa and form millions of these primary follicle in embryonic ovary. So here million primary follicles are here. And in this primary oocyte, in this primary follicle, this primary oocyte start first meiosis. Start first meiosis. That is, it enter into prophase 1. This primary oocyte start first meiosis and that is enter into prophase 1. It start first meiosis in embryonic ovary, that means it enter into the prophase 1. But here these granulosa cell or the follicular cells secrete some oocyte maturation inhibiting factors. Oocyte maturation inhibiting factors. These granulosa cell or the follicular cell secrete oocyte maturation inhibiting factors, which inhibit the meiosis or causes the meiosis arrest in this prophase first. So this meiosis get temporarily arrested here in this embryonic ovary. So in embryonic ovary, the primary oocyte start first meiosis, that is enter into prophase 1, but the follicular cells secrete some oocyte maturation inhibiting factors causes the first meiosis arrest in this embryonic ovary. Okay. So millions of such primary oocyte in this primary follicle in prophase first stage. And here, in this embryonic stage to birth, most of these follicles undergo degeneration. Here, millions of follicles are here. Most of these follicles undergo degeneration. As a result, at birth, each ovary contains about 4 lakh to 6 lakh primary follicles. About 4 lakh to 6 lakh primary follicle from embryonic stage to birth. At birth, each ovary contains about 4 lakh to 6 lakh primary follicle. That means here these follicles formed undergo degeneration from this embryonic stage to birth. Then, further development of this ovarian follicle takes place only during puberty. Further development of this ovarian follicle develops only from puberty onwards. So here, from embryonic state to birth, this follicular number reduced from millions to 4 lakh to 6 lakh. Then, at puberty, this number of primary follicles develops reduced to 60,000 to 80,000 primary follicle at puberty. From million formed in embryonic ovary. At puberty, most of these follicles undergo degeneration. As a result, at puberty, each ovary contains about 60,000 to 80,000 primary follicle in prophase first stage. So in embryonic ovary, oogonial cells undergo multiplication from millions of primary oogonium, and each oogonium undergo growth to form primary oocyte, and each primary oocyte is now surrounded by a single layer of granulosa cell and form primary follicle. Within the primary follicle, this primary oocyte start first meiosis. It is enter into prophase 1. But here these follicular cells secrete some oocyte maturation inhibiting factors, causes the first meiosis arrest. Then from embryonic state to birth, most of these follicle formed undergo degeneration. As a result, from millions, this primary follicle number reduced to 4 lakh to 6 lakh in birth. Then from birth to puberty, again this follicular degeneration takes place. As a result, from birth to puberty, this follicle number reduced to 60,000 to 80,000 in each ovary. See, at puberty, each ovary contains about 60,000 to 80,000 this type of primary follicle. See here, at puberty, the hormones FSH and LH from this anterior pituitary gland. The hormones FSH and LH, that means the gonadotropins from this anterior pituitary gland, act on these primary follicles. At puberty, the hormone FSH and LH act on this primary follicle. See here, these hormones act on this primary follicle. Usually these hormones act on about 6 to 12 primary follicles. At puberty, this hormone FSH and LH act on about 6 to 12 primary follicles of this ovary. As a result, these follicles start development. This primary follicle gets start development in response to hormones like FSH and LH. Because this follicle contains the receptors for LH and FSH, under the stimulation of this hormone, this primary follicles start development. That means this primary follicle start developing into secondary follicle, then followed by tertiary follicle, then fully mature Graafian follicle. Anyway, these follicles are competent to this FSH and LH. Competency means ability to respond to these signals. These follicular cells are competent to this FSH and LH. As a result, at puberty, these FSH and LH act on about 6 to 12 primary follicles. So each of these follicles start development, but among these 6 to 12, mostly in most of the case, only one primary follicle is more competent to this hormone. Among these 6 to 12 primary follicle, only one primary follicle usually, but exceptions are there, but usually only one primary follicles are more competent to this FSH and LH. And others, the rest are not fully competent to these hormones. Some like this 6 to 12, one primary follicle is fully competent to this FSH and LH. As a result, that particular primary follicle becomes fully developed ovarian follicle. We know the structure of primary follicle. This primary follicle contains a primary oocyte. This primary oocyte is surrounded by a single layer of granulosa layer. This forms the primary follicle. But at puberty, under the stimulation of this FSH and LH, this primary follicle develops into secondary follicle. This primary follicle develops into secondary follicle. See, a secondary follicle contains the same primary oocyte. Secondary follicle contains the same primary oocyte in prophase 1. But here, several granulosa cells formed around this primary oocyte. So here these granulosa cells divide rapidly. As a result, several layers of granulosa formed around this primary oocyte. So here, now this primary oocyte is surrounded by several layers of granulosa. Primary oocyte is surrounded by several layers of granulosa. And here, one more layer formed around this granulosa. And that layer is also formed from this ovarian stroma. One more layer formed around this granulosa. So around the granulosa, an additional layer is formed. This forms the structure of secondary follicles. So now, under the stimulation of FSH and LH, this primary follicle develops into secondary follicle. This secondary follicle contains the same cell primary oocyte in prophase first. Primary oocyte in prophase first. And here these granulosa cells divide rapidly and several layers of granulosa cells formed. Several layers of granulosa cells formed. And one more stromal cell formed around this granulosa. That layer is theca membrane. A theca membrane. This forms the structure of secondary follicle. So now this primary follicle develops into secondary follicle under the stimulation of the hormones like FSH and LH. The hormone FSH and LH increases gradually. As a result, this primary follicle develops into secondary follicle. See here, suppose these are the cells of theca membrane, theca cell. This theca cell. And this one is a granulosa cell. Theca cell as well as granulosa cell. See here, both these theca cells and granulosa cells are competent to the hormones LH. Both these theca cells and granulosa cells have LH receptors. Both these theca cells and granulosa cells have LH receptors. So under the stimulation of LH, both of these theca cells and granulosa get stimulated. As a result, in this theca cell, cholesterol is converted to pregnenolone. So in theca cell as well as granulosa cell, cholesterol is converted to pregnenolone under the stimulation of LH. And this pregnenolone is converted to progesterone. converted to the hormone progesterone. So pregnenolone converted to the hormone progesterone. Here, this formed progesterone from this granulosa cell transported to theca cell. This progesterone transported to theca cells. And within the theca cell, this progesterone is converted to androgens. Progesterone is converted to androgen. In this theca cell, progesterone converted to the hormone androgens under the stimulation of which hormone? LH. So LH stimulate the production of androgen in this theca cell. LH stimulate the production of androgen in theca cell. How? This LH stimulates both the theca cell as well as granulosa cell. And we know these androgens are steroid hormone. They are derived from cholesterol. And here, these both in theca cell as well as granulosa cell, cholesterol is converted to pregnenolone, pregnenolone to progesterone, and this progesterone converted to androgen in this theca cell. And here, this formed androgen is diffuses to the granulosa cell. This granulosa cell contains FSH receptor. Granulosa cell contains the hormone FSH receptor. So, under the stimulation of the hormone FSH, these granulosa cells produce a enzyme called as aromatase. Under the stimulation of FSH, these granulosa cells produce a enzyme called aromatase enzyme. Aromatase enzyme produced in granulosa cell under the stimulation of FSH. And this aromatase enzyme convert this androgen to estrogen. This aromatase cell convert this androgen to estrogen. That means under the stimulation of this FSH and LH, these granulosa cells as well as the thecal cells helps in the production of estrogen in the granulosa cell. So how this estrogen synthesized in these cells? Under the stimulation of FSH and LH, both these theca cells and granulosa cells produce progesterone from cholesterol. And these progesterones are converted to androgen in the theca cell. And these androgens are diffuses to the granulosa cell. Within the granulosa cell, an enzyme aromatase produced by the granulosa cell under the stimulation of FSH. This aromatase convert this androgen to estrogen. Thereby, estrogen secretion begins from the secondary follicle onwards. Okay. So now the primary follicle develops into secondary follicle. When the primary follicle develops into secondary follicle, the estrogen secretion also begins. So along with the follicular development, that means when primary follicle to secondary follicle, this developing follicle starts secreting the hormone estrogen under the stimulation of this FSH and LH. Then here this estrogen role. Estrogen secretion increases and estrogen made this granulosa cell more competent to FSH by developing FSH receptors on these granulosa cells. So under the stimulation of these FSH and LH, these granulosa cells as well as the thecal cells produce estrogen. And one of the functions of this estrogen made these granulosa cells more competent to the hormone FSH because this estrogen helps in the development of FSH receptors. Then this FSH as well as this estrogen, causes the development of more LH receptors. This estrogen as well as FSH causes the development of more LH receptors. So as a result, now these follicles become more competent to FSH and LH. Now this developing follicle become more competent to FSH and LH by developing large number of FSH as well as LH receptors. So under the stimulation of this hormone, This secondary follicle then develops into tertiary follicle. Secondary follicle develops into tertiary follicle. See, the tertiary follicle contains same primary oocyte. The same primary oocyte in tertiary follicle. So the tertiary follicle contains the same cell primary oocyte. Then this primary oocyte is surrounded by the same granulosa cell. So this granulosa cell differentiated here. But here, a new cavity formed in this primary oocyte. This newly formed cavity called as antrum. A new cavity formed in this tertiary follicle. A new cavity formed in this tertiary follicle. This newly formed cavity called as antrum. This is the newly formed cavity. This newly formed cavity called as antrum. This antrum is filled with estrogen as well as a liquid called as liquor folliculae. This androgen is filled with liquor follicle as well as estrogen. A new cavity formed. This newly formed cavity called as antrum. Here these are granulosa cells. We know these are granulosa cells. But here the theca membrane divide. The theca membrane divides, as a result an additional theca membrane formed around. An additional theca membrane. This formed theca membrane is a fibrous capsule formed of fibroblast. It's a connective tissue. So now an additional theca membrane formed. This formed theca membrane is theca externa. And this one is theca interna. This theca interna is more epithelioid cells, but the theca externa is fibrous capsule. So theca interna and theca externa. Granulosa cell, newly formed cavity antrum. Antrum is filled with the fluid is called as liquor follicle as well as estrogen is there. And here this cell is a primary oocyte. This follicle is known as tertiary follicle. This is tertiary follicle. See, in this tertiary follicle, we know the first meiosis begins in embryonic ovary in this primary follicle. But during the beginning of that first meiosis, the follicular cells secrete some oocyte maturation inhibiting factors. In embryonic stage, when this primary follicle or primary oocyte enters first meiosis or prophase 1, this follicular cell secretes some oocyte maturation inhibiting factors. But at puberty, when this follicle develops into tertiary follicle, these follicular cells produce some signal. These granulosa cells produce some signal which will inhibit these oocyte maturation inhibiting factors. These granulosa cells produce some signal which will inhibit these oocyte maturation factors. What happened? The first meiosis completed in this tertiary follicle. First meiosis completed in tertiary follicle. So here in this stage, this primary oocyte complete the first meiosis. First meiosis completed here. First meiosis completed. What happened? We got a small non-functional polar body. A small non-functional polar body and a large functional cell. And a large functional cell. This large functional cell called as secondary oocyte. This large functional cell called as secondary oocyte. So first meiosis completed in tertiary follicle, and in this tertiary follicle, the second oocyte as well as the first polar body formed. This is tertiary follicle. But we know only first meiosis completed here. Then in this tertiary follicle, this secondary oocyte starts second meiosis. In this tertiary follicle, This secondary oocyte starts second meiosis. Only first meiosis is here completed. Then this secondary oocyte starts second meiosis in this tertiary follicle. That is, it enter into metaphase 2. This secondary oocyte enters metaphase 2. That means starts second meiosis. But again, these follicular cells produce another set of oocyte maturation inhibiting factors. The tertiary follicle, when the secondary oocyte start metaphase 2 or second meiosis, when it enter into metaphase 2, again these follicular cells produce some signal called as oocyte maturation inhibiting factors, causes the second meiosis arrest in this tertiary follicle. The second meiosis arrest occurred. So again meiosis arrest occurred. The second meiosis arrest in this tertiary follicle. But at that time, by the action of these FSH and LH, this tertiary follicle then develops into the fully matured ovarian follicle. At the same time, by the action of FSH and LH, this tertiary follicle develops into the fully matured ovarian follicle. That fully matured ovarian follicle called as Graafian follicle. So now this tertiary follicle develops into the fully matured ovarian follicle called as Graafian follicle. This Graafian follicle also contains the same cell secondary oocyte. This secondary oocyte in metaphase 2. And now here, this secondary oocyte produces a protein membrane, a new membrane is a protein membrane. This secondary oocyte produces a new protein membrane. This newly formed protein membrane called as zona pellucida. The secondary oocyte produces a new protein membrane called as zona pellucida. Now the cell is secondary oocyte in metaphase 2. And the secondary oocyte produces a new protein membrane. This protein membrane or glycoprotein membrane called as zona pellucida. Rest are same, the granulosa cells. So now this tertiary follicle develops into the fully matured ovarian follicle called as Graafian follicle. This Graafian follicle contains secondary oocyte in metaphase 2. Then this secondary oocyte secrete a new membrane, it's a protein membrane called as zona pellucida. And this is the cavity antrum. Here also this antrum is filled with this liquor folliculae. And here this granulosa, this outer granulosa in here known as membranous granulosa. This outer granulosa of this Graafian follicle called as membranous granulosa. And here this granulosa. This granulosa between this zona pellucida, this granulosa between, we know this is zona pellucida. This granulosa between this zona pellucida and antrum. This is antrum, this is zona pellucida. This granulosa between zona pellucida and antrum called as cumulus oophorus. This granulosa, this is the granulosa between zona pellucida and antrum called as cumulus oophorus. Similarly, this is also granulosa. This granulosa, this is also granulosa. This is the granulosa or the follicular cells, which hold this cumulus oophorus, which hold or attach this cumulus oophorus as well as this oocyte to the membranous granulosa. So this granulosa or this follicular cells called as discus proligerus. These follicular or granulosa cells called as discus proligerus, And this discus proligerus hold or attach this secondary oocyte as well as this cumulus euphoricus to the membranous granulosa. Okay, so this Graafian follicle contain secondary oocyte in metaphase 2, the newly formed protein membrane zona pellucida, the cumulus euphoricus, the discus proligerus, as well as the membranous granulosa. This cumulus euphorus, discus proligerus, and membranous granulosa are nothing but follicular cells. Then similarly, the theca externa and theca interna. Theca externa and theca interna. Theca externa and theca interna. Theca interna. So here, under the stimulation of this FSH and LH, this primary follicle develops into secondary follicle, tertiary follicle, and fully matured Graafian follicle. See, at the beginning, about 6 to 12 ovum get start development. But among these 6 to 12, only one follicle become more competent to this FSH and LH. As a result, only one primary follicle develops into secondary follicle, tertiary follicle, and fully matured Graafian follicle. So during this development, this FSH and LH secretion gradually increases. But here, when the follicle becomes the fully matured Graafian follicle, the granulosa cells of this Graafian follicle, these are the granulosa cells. The granulosa cells of Graafian follicle secrete a hormone called as inhibin. The granulosa cells of this Graafian follicle secrete a hormone called inhibin. This inhibin inhibit the hormone FSH. So when the follicle becomes fully matured, there is no need of this FSH. FSH means the follicular development. So when the follicle becomes fully matured, the granulosa cells of follicle secrete inhibin, the hormone inhibin, which will inhibit the FSH. We know about inhibin. In male, this inhibin is secreted by Sertoli cell and inhibit FSH. Here also function is same. The hormone inhibin is inhibit FSH in female also, but the source is different. The source is here the granulosa cell secrete inhibin in female reproductive system. Okay, so the FSH secretion decreases, but the LH secretion become its maximum. When this follicle become fully matured, the secretion of LH become its maximum called as LH surge. LH attain their peak. And here, LH act on this fully matured Graafian follicle. LH stimulate this fully matured Graafian follicle. What happened? From this Graafian follicle, from this fully matured Graafian follicle, a projection of these granulosa cells takes place. So a nipple-like projection formed from this Graafian follicle, a nipple-like projection. This projection called as stigma. This nipple-like projection from this granulosa called as stigma. See, this development is under the stimulation of the hormone LH. All these development, all these changes under the stimulation of the hormone LH. Then under the stimulation of LH, the theca externa, the fibrous capsule consisting of the fibroblast. This fibroblast secretes some lytic enzymes, some proteolytic enzymes. Some proteolytic enzyme as well as the prostaglandins. See here, this fibroblast or the theca externa produce some proteolytic enzyme as well as prostaglandins, which causes the rupturing of this membrane, which causes the rupturing of this granulosa. Which causes the rupturing of granulosa. This granulosa ruptured. See, causes the rupturing of granulosa by the secretion of proteolytic enzyme as well as the prostaglandin from the outer theca externa. This proteolytic enzyme causes the rupturing and this prostaglandin causes the contraction and propelling this secondary oocyte from ovary to oviduct. This prostaglandin causes this contraction and propelling this secondary oocyte from this ovary to oviduct. We know this is the fimbriae. And this is the infundibulum of fallopian tube. It propels to the fimbriae and to the fallopian tube. So what happened under the stimulation of LH? This for Graafian follicle ruptured and the secondary oocyte released from ovary to oviduct. The secondary oocyte released from ovary to oviduct. Secondary oocyte in which state? Secondary oocyte in metaphase 2. See, not only secondary oocyte, this secondary oocyte with the zona pellucida membrane and some of the granulosa cells. Some of the granulosa cells also released along. And some of the granulosa cells are also released along with this oocyte. So under the stimulation of LH, the secondary oocyte is released from the ovary to oviduct or fallopian tube. And this released secondary oocyte in metaphase 2 along with this secondary oocyte, zona pellucida as well as some number of granulosa cells or the follicular cells are also released. This released follicular cells called as corona radiata. This released granulosa cell modified as corona radiata, and here zona pellucida membrane is here, and this one is secondary oocyte in metaphase 2, and it is released to the oviduct or fallopian tube. This process is called as ovulation. So what is ovulation? Under the stimulation of LH, this Graafian follicle ruptured and the secondary oocyte released from the ovary called as ovulation. So ovulation means releasing of secondary oocyte in metaphase 2. That means here the meiosis is not completed or the oogenesis is not completed yet. Oogenesis is not completed in this ovary. And before completing oogenesis, the secondary oocyte is released to the oviduct or fallopian tube. Okay. So this is ovulation. So this ovulation with the help of LH and the proteolytic enzymes as well as prostaglandins from the theca externa causes the releasing of ovum. This is ovulation. See here, the secondary oocyte is released from the ovary. This is ovulation. And this released secondary oocyte is viable only up to 24 hours in this fallopian tube. This released secondary oocyte is viable only up to 24 hours. So if within 24 hours, when a sperm start penetrating the secondary oocyte, if a sperm embryo occurs, when sperm start penetrating this secondary oocyte complete the second meiosis. So this secondary oocyte complete the second meiosis only after the secondary oocyte has been penetrated by a sperm. When the sperm start penetrating the secondary oocyte, it undergoes second meiosis and forms second polar body and the egg or oocyte. So the second maturation division, it occurs usually in the ampulla region of fallopian tube. Anyway, the second maturation division only after the secondary oocyte has been penetrated by a sperm and it takes place in the fallopian tube. This is why this oogenesis is completed in fallopian tube, because the ovulation takes place in metaphase 2 of secondary oocyte. In the ampulla region of fallopian tube, when a sperm starts penetrating this secondary oocyte, it completes the second meiosis and form the polar body as well as egg. And this egg will become zygote. See, at the same time, immediately after this ovulation, this ruptured follicular cell transform into, this ruptured follicular cell enlarge in size. Soon after ovulation, these ruptured follicular cells enlarge in size. These ruptured follicular cells enlarge in size and get filled with lipid inclusions. By the action of the same hormone LH, luteinizing hormone. So immediately after ovulation, the same LH causes the transformation of these follicular cells to large sized cell with lipid inclusions in each cell. And as a result of this lipid inclusion, the color of these cells changes to yellow color. So the yellow color of these cells are due to the presence of this lipid inclusion, and now these cells are called as lutein cells. Now these cells are called as lutein cells. And here these lutein cells aggregated. These lutein cells aggregated to form the mass or the mass of this lutein cell. The mass of these lutein cell aggregated to form the yellow colored endocrine gland. This lutein cell aggregated to form a yellow colored endocrine gland. This yellow colored endocrine gland called corpus luteum. So these cells enlarge and get accumulated with a lipid inclusion which changes the color of these cells to yellow body and form the yellow body or the yellow colored endocrine gland called as corpus luteum. Now this ruptured follicle transformed to an yellow colored endocrine gland called as corpus luteum with the help of the hormone LH. With the help of the hormone LH by a process called as luteinization. So now this ruptured follicle transformed into the yellow colored endocrine gland called as corpus luteum by the action of the hormone LH by a process called as luteinization. By a process called the luteinization means the formation of this corpus luteum from this ruptured follicle under the stimulation of LH. This process is called as luteinization. Hence this hormone called as LH, luteinizing hormone, luteinization. So immediately after ovulation, this ruptured follicle transform into this endocrine gland. This is an yellow colored endocrine gland called as corpus luteum. And this corpus luteum begins to secrete large amount of progesterone. The cells of these lutein cells of corpus luteum produce large amount of progesterone and small amount of estrogen. We'll discuss later about these functions of this progesterone and estrogen. Anyway, this corpus luteum produces large amount of progesterone and small amount of estrogen. And this progesterone is the pregnancy hormone. So after ovulation, the secondary oocyte releases to the oviduct or fallopian tube. And immediately after ovulation, this ruptured follicle transforms to corpus luteum. And this corpus luteum begins to secrete progesterone and estrogen. Because after ovulation, body expects pregnancy. So immediately after ovulation, this ruptured follicle begins to secrete progesterone for expecting pregnancy. See here. After ovulation, this LH helps in the transformation of ruptured follicle to corpus luteum, and also this LH maintains this corpus luteum. One more function of LH is this LH maintains corpus luteum. This LH maintains corpus luteum about 6 or 7 days. Up to 6 to 7 days after ovulation. So this LH maintain corpus luteum up to 6 to 7 days after ovulation. This LH maintain corpus luteum up to 6 to 7 days after ovulation. See, after ovulation, this LH maintain this corpus luteum about 6 to 8 days. See, if this secondary oocyte fail to get fertilized, this LH maintain corpus luteum up to 6 to 7 days. After 7 days, this LH secretion decline and this corpus luteum undergo degeneration. And this corpus luteum degenerated to form a non-functional cell mass. This corpus luteum degenerated to form a non-functional cell mass called as corpus albicans. If this secondary oocyte failed to get fertilized, about 6 to 7 days, this corpus luteum is maintained by LH. And if LH secretion declined, this corpus luteum degenerated to form corpus albicans. But if fertilization happen in this secondary oocyte, this secondary oocyte become the zygote, and the zygote undergo division to form 2-celled embryo, 4-celled embryo, 16-celled embryo and morula, and finally to blastula. And this embryo get implanted to the endometrium of uterus. That means after fertilization or 6 or 7 days after fertilization in this fallopian tube. See, fertilization takes place in fallopian tube. About 6 or 7 days after fertilization, this embryo reaches the uterus. 6 or 7 days after fertilization, this embryo reaches the uterus and get implanted in the uterus. This embryo get implanted in uterus. After implantation, the outer layer of this embryo secrete a hormone. We'll discuss in later about this hormone. Anyway, the outer layer of this embryo secrete a hormone called as HCG, human chorionic gonadotropin. That HCG will maintain corpus luteum after fertilization. So if fertilization happened 6 or 7 days after fertilization, LH secretion decline. But about 6 or 7 days after fertilization, the HCG production begins. That HCG maintain corpus luteum in pregnancy. So in this follicular development, this LH maintain corpus luteum about 6 to 8 days after ovulation. But if fertilization happened, even in the absence of LH, this corpus luteum is maintained by the hormone HCG. That means after fertilization, about 6 days after fertilization, embryo get implanted. After implantation, the outer layer of embryo starts secreting the hormone HCG, and this HCG maintains corpus luteum in pregnancy. So in pregnancy, this corpus luteum is maintained by HCG, not by LH. This forms the follicular development and oogenesis. So we completed the ovarian follicular development in oogenesis. So we completed oogenesis as well as the ovarian follicular development during this oogenesis. Okay, thank you for watching my videos. Please like, share and subscribe my channel, Sharing Zoology. Okay, bye, see you.